Yeah, so just as a way of introduction, let me say welcome to all of us. Welcome to this webinar, the webinar that seeks to look at mental health and how to communicate matters mental health to the parents of the Scouts and the Scouts. This is one of the series from the Scouting at Home projects that is being delivered by the World Scout Bureau. The idea is to look at key issues that really affect us as Scout leaders and also those within Scouting, and how we can prepare to deal with these critical issues, not just during this period of COVID, but also beyond. Yeah, so to take us through this session is Grace, and I'm seeing as if Grace, it's Grace, Grace Michuki. Grace Michuki is a former youth advisor to the Africa Scout Committee. She was the chairperson of these youth advisors, but also Grace is a volunteer with Kenya Scouts Association, and she's also a mental health advocate. So without further ado, let me welcome Grace. With me supporting this is my colleague, Raul Molina from the European Support Center, who is part of the team coordinating this. So feel welcome, and let's roll with this. So welcome, Grace.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you, all of you, for joining in. It's a Saturday. I know we are all resting at home. And yes, so today my name is Grace Michuki, as Jonathan has mentioned, and I'm so passionate about mental health, and I'm so happy that all of you are joining in. So we shall keep, our numbers shall keep swelling. I can see all the participants waiting on the line. So today we shall be discussing about mental health, and it's a topic that all of us have had, have members of their families who've gone through mental health or mental disorders. So I'll be taking you through mental health, and as Scouts, how do we come in? So I'm so excited about this day. Karibuni sana, welcome, welcome, welcome. So we'll begin with, what do you understand when we talk about mental health? What is your understanding? I can see Sifila from South Africa or Zimbabwe. I can see Winnie. What do you understand when we talk about mental health? What's your understanding? Just as every answer today is correct, I'll be the best teacher ever. Sifila, unmute your mic, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, my basic understanding of mental health is basically the state of our minds and how we think at a psychological level.
Ah, fantastic. Thank you so much. I can see Oboko. Oboko, what do you understand when we talk about mental health? Well, maybe Oboko is away. So what do we understand by mental health? Sifila, your answer is correct. Thank you so much. Mental health is, Jonathan, bring up my other slide. Mental health is a person's condition in regard to their mind, just as Sifila has said. It's in regard with their psychological, emotional, behavioral, and social well-being. This is how someone feels, the mood of someone, how they think, how they talk, and the general well-being of their mind. How peaceful are they? There are those moments that you wake up and your mind is clogged with so much. That is what you call mental health. It's about your personal mental state. So when you're mentally stable and you're feeling so good about the day, you're feeling good about everything around you. So what disturbs you? This is what we call mental health disorders, mental illnesses. There are two words that we can use, either mental illness or mental disorder. It affects the way a person thinks, how you feel, how you behave, and how you interact. There are those moments that you just wake up, you don't want to leave your bed, you don't want to, talk to people, you don't want to even interact with other people. There are those moments you don't want to even draw your curtains. You don't want to pick up calls. It affects how you feel. It affects how you behave. For a day or two, that is allowed. But when this condition continues from day one, day two, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then that is what we call that you're suffering from mental illnesses. And there are very, very many kinds of mental illnesses. I'm going to show you just right now how many conditions we have. As you can see from this diagram, we have over 50 conditions that we suffer from. Like the ones that are in bold are the most common ones. The most common one is stress. And when stress continues accumulating, we develop depression. Depression, it's the collective stress days from day one, week two, until it accumulates and you cannot be able to contain it. From there, we have bipolar. We've seen family members or friends or relatives who have bipolar. They get out of their mind. They can't function on their own. And at this point, most people even forget what they are doing. The stress levels are too high. And then we have other conditions such as addiction. You can be addicted to something. It could be alcohol, it could be substance abuse, and will. That is one of the major conditions that we have. We have post-traumatic stress disorder. Like we have seen soldiers going to war, going to different countries for war. We know of Iraq, Iran, we know of Afghanistan, we know of Somalia. That when these soldiers go, they see a lot of deaths. They lose friends in the battlefields. There are so many gunshots and gun wounds. If these people go untreated, or if they go unaddressed by a professional psychologist, counselor, they develop a condition we call post-traumatic stress disorder from whatever they have seen out there. We have anxiety. Most people, have the fear of the unknown that they can't control. So these are some of the conditions that we have. We have, schizophrenia, we have ADHD, we have OCD, we have insomnia, where you can't find sleep for months down the line. We also have hypersomnia. You're oversleeping. For a day or two, that's allowed. But when it continues for a sequence of weeks and months, then it means you're developing or slipping into mental disorders, which needs to be addressed as soon as possible. So we have some of the causes. What causes, mental health disorders? Jonathan, next slide. Some of the causes are very, very minute that you can't even think of them as mental health disorders causes. We have life events. We have new moms who, give birth to, we have new moms who give birth, who've never raised a baby. So all these things become so overwhelming to them that they end up slipping into mental disorders. We have long levels of unemployment, especially in Africa. We've seen many young people ending up to commit suicide. Why? Because they have their degrees, they have their masters, they have their PhDs, but they can't find employment. And this ends up making them, feeling, hopeless and helpless. And at some point, they slip into depression or stress or bipolar because of such long levels of unemployment. We have loss of a loved one. We've seen, some people losing loved ones and they end up, they don't want to talk to people. They are angry at the world. They can't express themselves. And eventually, they slip into mental disorders. We have heartbreaks, maybe love, maybe divorce, maybe marriage. That is also a leading cause of mental disorders. We have prolonged work pressure. I can see Callistas online, and you've joined a new world where there's so much happening, and it's not your usual normal. So you end up having so much work pressure that it builds up until you develop mental disorders. We have sexual abuse. financial constraints where you don't have enough money to food for your bills or for bills of your loved ones. We have chronic illnesses. When you suffer from chronic diseases, call it HIV, call it cancer, and these diseases consume your mental space. They consume your mental peace until to some point, you develop accumulated stress and have depression, bipolar, post-traumatic stress disorders. These are some of the causes, and something like drug and substance abuse. These are some of the causes that we end up accumulating without knowing, and eventually we all are candidates to mental disorder. No one is immune to this condition, and it's not a death sentence. It's something that can be addressed by seeking professional help, which we shall be looking at later on in our discussions. We shall be looking at different people who you can talk to so that you don't end up sleeping or becoming a candidate of mental disorder. So what are these symptoms? How do you know that I'm suffering from mental disorders? We have loss of interest in daily routines. You see that routine that you have every single day of waking up at 8 o'clock, calling your friends, making breakfast, listening to the news or reading a newspaper or
Some of these common symptoms of mental disorders. She talked about loss of interest with daily routines. Sometimes it also manifests through tremendous weight loss or gain.
Jonathan, are you on mute? We can't hear you.
No, I'm not on mute. You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can get you clearly, Jonathan.
Okay. So I hope all can hear me. Yeah, so I was saying the other one is about tremendous weight loss. Grace, you're back?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Then you can, I was just talking about tremendous weight loss and gain, so you can pick it from there.
All right, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I think my Wi-Fi port went off. So we have insomnia, as I had mentioned earlier. When you have a consecutive, you can sleep for 8 hours from day 1, day 2, weeks and months. I said for 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, it's allowed. It doesn't mean you're suffering mentally. But when this condition continues and persists for months and months, then it means we need to seek professional help. Insomnia means you can't find sleep. A straight up 6 to 8 hours sleep as recommended by doctors. Hypersomnia means you're sleeping the whole day, the whole night, day 1, day 2, day 3. We have very low levels of self-esteem, where you don't believe in yourself, your esteem is very low. Whatever you do in life, you're feeling very helpless, very hopeless, and you don't even believe in your own self. Such kind of continuous feeling of very low self-esteem could be a condition or a symptom that you could be slipping into mental disorders. Next slide. Trouble concentrating. Have you ever been in class or been in a meeting and there's this song that is, consecutively playing in your mind and you can't even focus? That is normal. But the minute even you can't have a conversation with your friends or you can't concentrate during a phone call consecutively, that is another symptom. Feeling worthless and hopeless. You've tried doing work, you've tried, marriage, you've tried relationships. These things are not working for you, and you're feeling so helpless and so worthless. Every single day, you feeling so sorry about yourself. This is one of the major leading conditions. And after some time, if this feeling continues of feeling worthless and helpless, it develops suicidal thoughts. That is why, especially I'll talk of Kenya, we have suicide rates or suicide incidences rising every single day. Not any single man that can wake up and decide to commit suicide or kill their loved ones or their children or their wife or their spouses. These suicide thoughts are accumulated over days and days and days. So watch out when you have those suicide thoughts of, hanging yourself, drinking poison. So when it gets to that point, I'll let you know how you, address these issues. Rising tempers, you're so temperamental, like this. When someone even compliments you, you just flip. That is not normal. So we shall be addressing these issues as we go by. So the next slide. The picture on your left side shows you of a mental or someone's brain that is all over. It's running. Your mind is running like a circle. You can't place a finger anywhere. So when we say about rain check, what do we mean? For you to achieve this figure on the right side, a well-designed mind, it has a system, it has color codes. How do we achieve this? How do we maintain our mental health status? So we check it. How do we mentally keep sane? First and foremost, what is known over the years is not getting enough sleep. A day or two is fine, which I keep repeating, so that you don't end up, if Jonathan today doesn't find enough sleep, he slept for 2-3 hours, and he decides that he's mentally sick. That is not the case. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Try to get enough sleep. 6 to 8 hours of sleep, as it is recommended by the doctors. Get enough sleep. Don't say you're a professional, you're a tiger, you can go for 3 days without sleep. Eat healthy. A balanced diet comes a long way, because each protein, vitamin, carbohydrates plays a key role to your mental well-being. Keep yourself active. We've been home. We've been going through, the world has been, has been faced by COVID-19. Most of us are not going to, normal routines, are not going to work normally, and we are all at home. Try to keep yourself active. Pick up a new hobby. Try baking. Try riding a bicycle or motorbike. Try having your kitchen garden in order. As long as you have an active day and you have a new hobby that excites you and you're looking forward to a day, you're able to keep yourself mentally healthy. Get mental workouts. Most of us can't even meditate for 2 minutes, but try to meditate. Go for yoga classes, go for nature walks. They nourish and refresh your mind every day, and you're able to keep yourself mentally healthy. Next slide, Jonathan. Do something for others. There's this feeling, all of us as scouts, we have our motto, service. We have our motto, do a good turn every day. There's this feeling that comes, or feeling of fulfillment that comes with helping others. Share a meal with your neighbors. Share a plate of food with, someone in the streets. It comes with a feeling of fulfillment, and it gives you some mental peace, even if you're going through, hard times. Learn how to manage your stress. How do you learn how to manage your stress? Sometimes we as human beings end up worrying too much. You don't have money, yes. You need to pay your house rent, but you don't have money, you don't have a job. So worrying too much does not really help the situation. It makes it worse. So how do you manage your stress? By getting solutions, by talking to your friends. And this is how we shall, overcome our mental anxieties, our mental stress, our mental, depressions, by learning to manage our stress. Drink moderately. As we can see, most of us have, most people have ended up drinking too much, because you wake up at 8, you're not going to work, you don't have a routine, because it has been disoriented by COVID-19. So most people have resorted to drinking too much from the normal. So try to drink moderately. Learn how to keep in touch and reach out to friends. If you're not okay, call your friend, send a text, call them, video call them, and tell them this is the situation and this is how I am at. It's okay to reach out to your friends. Next slide, Jonathan. it's okay to not be okay. You know, if you can't be able to, pay rent, um, provide for your family now that COVID has hit us so hard, most people have lost jobs. So it's okay to not be okay. Never feel helpless or worthless or hopeless when you're feeling not okay. It's okay to not be okay, and let everyone around you understand that they can call you, they can call out for help, they can call anyone when they're feeling stuck and when they're feeling that they are not okay. So don't feel inferior, don't feel less, don't feel hopeless. Always reach out because it's okay to not be okay. Next slide, Jonathan. So today, most of us, I can see from the participant list, most of us are scouts. How do we communicate mental health issues? It's a very sensitive issue. So how do we communicate these issues to scouts and parents of scouts? So Raul and Jonathan will be taking you to smaller groups. Choose a team leader who will report back to the session on how do we communicate. What are your thoughts on how to communicate mental health issues to scouts and parents of scouts? So Raul and Jonathan will be taking you. It will be 10 minutes. So guys, go be active, contribute. Every answer today we said is correct, and we shall come back here and discuss them. So Jonathan and Raul, for 10 minutes, can take the participants to their small groups. Raul, are they all back?
Yes, we have 28 people ready to listen.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys had a good time. So I'll ask the team leaders briefly, in less than a minute, to tell us what they discussed. I understand we had 4 groups. So kindly report back what you guys discussed in less than a minute. Group 1. Yes, please. Group 1, Group 2. Lusala, you're okay, thank you.
Shall I, Grace?
Hi, go ahead, Raj.
Yeah. I was in a group. I forgot the name. I'm in the 1 or 2, but we were Matya, Ruth, and Kima were there in our team, and
Yes.
we, because of some technical errors, Ruth and Kima could not hear. I think they could not discuss with us. And Matya and me, we had some sort of the conversation. And while we are talking about it, basically in our both the countries where from we are representing, we are not facing any sort of the problems related to the mental health with the parents and the scouts. But also we thought that because of this pandemic, there might be some issues in the days to come. So that what we are doing currently is we are engaging young people, the scouts, in a different ways, like social media campaigning and the webinars and the recently the Nepal Scouts, we have conducted the youth forum, so that we invited all the youth, it's a scout youth from the all part of the country, and they try to have, they learn the leadership, planning, implementing skill. Basically, we are trying to engage the young people so that they will not be distracted with the some of the mental issues. And we are trying to involve them as possible as how can we involve in the campaigning and the maybe service in the countryside where they can be free and they can be safe themselves, so that we encourage them. Till now we are not having such an issue, but we have to be careful after the pandemic. When the situation comes the normal, I think there might be some problems, so that for that we are trying to have a engage the young people. And Mata just told that in her country they are redrafting, updating the safe from harm policy, and in the safe from harm policy, they are trying to incorporate the mental health issues also. So these are the outcome from our group. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raj, for your contribution. Thank you for representing your group. I am happy. Any other person? Any group that wants to go?
I was in a group, I'm not sure of the group number, but I was in a group that had me, Brian, Father Kirongo, and Takunda. We came up with a few points of how we can communicate mental health to our scouts, and some of them include creating an awareness to the scouts, whereby we can make them understand what exactly mental health is about. And we can do this using social media because it's a very, very big communicating tool, and almost everybody is on social media. We also discussed that we can create a safe environment, an environment of trust whereby people will feel free and safe to be vulnerable and share their experiences. An environment where, for example, if it's me, I know that if I say this in this forum, it will not get out of here unless it's going to somebody who will be in a position to assist me. We also discussed that we can engage the young professionals within the movement because we have people who are studying things like psychology and guidance and counseling in school, and they are within our movement. So we can engage them to help us decipher these things. We can create within our rover troops, for example, we can create a system where these rovers can volunteer to share the things that they learn in school and to help us help the others who are not in the troop. I don't know if that point is coming out clear. And then we also came up with peer education. I think this is similar to the previous one, whereby peers can confide to each other. You know, if I'm able to speak to somebody of my age group, I'm likely to feel more free to share as compared to being asked to share to somebody maybe who's older or younger. And also, if I correct somebody who's in my age group, they are likely to listen and to heed to my advice as compared to hearing it maybe from a person who's maybe a parent figure, you know, whereby we don't have to stuff in information and advice to these people. So those are the points that we came up with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Winnie. Thank you for the contribution from your group. I appreciate it so much. The other group, we have like 2 minutes to go.
Okay. I would like to present for group 3.
Yes, Makinya, go ahead. Thank you so much.
Yes, in our group we had Srinath, Treasure, Callisto, and I. And we started noting that mental health is an emerging issue, and if parents are not aware about this, then they will not be able to support their children. Same to scout leaders. If they're not aware of this, then they might not be able to fully execute their duties as scout leaders. And therefore, how we'll talk about the issue to our parents. Number one, we noted that if we can do it through the parents' meetings in schools and the parents' councils, but now due to the COVID-19 that we cannot reach them, then we thought that we can have Zoom meetings and seminars for the parents. And also we can have, reach to opinion leaders and community leaders back in the community so that they get to reach the parents back to the places where they are. And that was also in line with using the traditional structures to get to the parents. The other one was we can have our scouts do a skit or a drama. Maybe we can have the scouts have a skit on some young person who is having suicidal thoughts, and then they can get to learn from that. The other thing we noted is that we can use social media, that's mainstream media, and so we can use media, that's mainstream media and social media, because it gets to reach to a very big a group of people. And then to our scout leaders, we say that we can incorporate mental health awareness in the training that they undertake as Scout leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Makinya. We have 1 more minute. Thank you so much, Makinya, for your group contribution and for volunteering to be the team lead. The last group, anyone? Group 4.
Group 4, thank you very much. Liz was our moderator, and I believe where is she? She can take us through. But again, we had the Solar Girl. We also had Lama and Lamini and I. So Liz, kindly take us through, kindly.
Well, I think we may have lost her, so I'll just summarize very shortly.
Right, Safili, go ahead.
Our points that we discussed. So one of the key issues kit for physical health, it is very much important, especially at this stage in World Scouting, that these webinars become the basis for the development of a mental health first aid kit. That if we say to parents, plate that can assist them in doing such. We also talked about children being able to, children and scouts being able to talk openly with their parents, because a lot of the times our young people cannot talk to parents because there is sort of the edge wall between that says, I'm an adult, you are the child, you should always be listening to me. So that was one of the issues, as well as that scout leaders themselves were young people and old people. My teammates can assist me if I left out anything.
All right, thank you so much, Safili, for coming through for your group. Thank you so much, Harrison, too. I appreciate the feedback. It's so amazing. It's fantastic. All the answers you all gave are correct. And why am I saying they are correct? Because we as scouts need to come on board in various ways, depending with our NSOs, depending with our country status, depending on how we relate to the parents of scouts and scouts themselves. So I'll take you through some of the key pointers that we can use as scouts to communicate mental health issues to scouts and parents of scouts. And this does not confine us to scouts only. It means we can communicate to our friends, to our family, to our workmates, and to other people around us. So these are some of the key pointers. The first basic step is creating a safe space. What do I mean by saying creating a safe space? Ensure that the environment that you are in is calm and very friendly to these people. You don't take a soldier to war and talk to them about peace. Because at that point, that soldier is just, his mind is already set for war. So always ensure you create a safe space for having mental health conversation. Once you have a safe space, the second thing is get to the point. Most people, like when you're trying to tell your friend truths, like when I want to tell Empress that she's not looking good today, I beat around the bush until she gets the point. But when we're discussing mental health issues, we go, be brief. Don't have a long story of what happened to your grandfather and the great and great grandfather of your grandfathers. Be brief. Be upfront with the discussion. Avoid beating around the bush. So when you decide to talk with the scouts and parents of scouts, you go direct to the point and tell them, check, this is what I want us to talk about. So please be brief and get to the point. Next slide. Express your feelings clearly with the I statement. First of all, ensure there's a platform for them to tell you how they feel. We all know that COVID-19 has really hit us hard. We're not going to work as normal. Our routine has been oriented. So ensure there's that platform where they tell you how they feel. Two, when you're addressing these issues of mental health, we tend to usually use, we scouts say, we people of this country say, we as this tribe say, we as this community say. So always ensure you don't generalize the statements. Use I think, because the minute you say we, you put the other people at defensive positions. And that is when you find people are angry, they're a bit edgy when you're addressing them. So always say, I, Grace, think, I, Safili, think, I, Harrison Mwai, think, you should do A, B, C, D. But don't say we scouts think, we as parents think, we as a group. Express yourself as I. Next slide. The next pointer is speak for yourself, not others. The same way I've said, speak for what you know or what you intend to communicate. Speak for Grace as Grace, not as scouts, not as a community, not as a society. Always speak for yourself. Avoid generalizing the talk, because when you speak on behalf of other people, you end up misleading and making them feel bad, because you can't say what. So always speak for yourself. All right, next slide, Jonathan. Pay attention to body language. As we say in psychology and public speaking, when you look at someone, how their facial expression is, how they are seated, how they are standing, how they are moving their body, really has a lot to play. So always read the body language to know how comfortable these scouts and parents of scouts are. So always learn, to read that body language for you to communicate a message, to know how easy and uneasy they are when you're discussing that topic. Next slide, Jonathan. Tackle troubling thoughts. As I keep referring to COVID-19 because it has hit us as a globe. Every country has been shaken at some point. So ensure you tackle these troubling thoughts, especially during COVID-19. How are these people coping up? How is it that they are coping up? They don't have jobs. Some of them are not getting paid. Some of them have children at home for 2-3 months, which is very hectic for parents. Most parents are used to having their kids for a month or so at home. But right now they're having their kids unexpectedly at home. So always tackle these troubling thoughts of finances. How are they holding up? Now that you don't have a job, how's everything working out for you? So ensure you don't beat around the bush, as we said. Handle these hot topics as they come in. Thank you, Jonathan. Listen, be calm, be friendly, and also create room for feedback. Most of the times, we as human beings, when I try to tell you I am not okay, I don't have a job, most of us always tend to interrupt in between and tell us, no, God is with you, you have to be strong. When you're creating a safe space for mental health talks, don't interrupt this person. Let them pour out their hearts. Be calm. Listen to them. Don't interrupt. So you always create room for feedback so that these people can tell you what they feel, how they are, what they think. And from there, you're able to sympathize with them. You're able to sympathize with their worries. You're able to comfort them. You're able to tell them it's going to be okay. So as soon as you create and give them hope. Tell them it's going to be fine. Tell them tomorrow is going to be better. COVID is going to come and go. Reassure them. You're going to get your job back. You're going to open a bigger business, a better business. And such kind of things gives them hope and reassures them that someone is with them. Because with mental health, what we need is love, hope, and support. Next slide. So at this point, I know we've all understood what mental health is. What are some of the causes? What are some of the symptoms? What are some of the concerns? We've already understood how to keep ourselves mentally healthy. And we've also discussed how to talk to other people, scouts, parents of scouts, family, friends, and lovers and spouses. So at this point, I want to welcome any questions, comments, concerns, contributions that you'd like to, give to us as feedback. Feel free. We are now on plenary. Yes, Kima, go ahead. Unmute your microphone, please. Kima, your microphone is muted. All right, as Kima tries to find his way around, any person who wants to contribute?
Yeah, my name is
Yeah.
Srinath. I'm a scout from India, but now I work in the Eurasia region in the World Scout Bureau Support Center, Grace. Thank you for this excellent presentation, very, very well prepared. One of the things that I wanted to share as a comment is in response to some of our thoughts in the groups. It is clear that we suffer from the same issue that most of the cases around the world, mental health is still a taboo. And people think that that we don't have that issue in our part of the society. It is likely that some of our cultures have built in such a way that we respond to say everything is good. And you see that everywhere, when you say, how are you? The first answer people say is, I'm fine. And then, some cultures we've learned in our own, when I was working in Africa for 2 years, you don't stop at just asking them, how are you? As you were saying, observe the body language and ask again, how are things? How is work? And how is your mind? And are you sleeping okay? What are you eating? And then you start slowly getting things. When we went to visit a scout family in rehabilitated a street child in Uganda, they have an elaborate ceremony, for a long time that you keep asking, how are you? And after 3-4 times, when they say yes, then only they tell the reality, what they feel. So we have to understand and accept that the mental health issues are part of all societies and they exist all the time, whether there is COVID or not. And factors that affect individuals are so diverse, as you were taking us through earlier. It is very difficult to put a finger when you look at the person coming in a scout uniform to a scout meeting, if the person is mentally healthy or not, unless we investigate, as you said. To giving that platform for people to express their feelings and ourselves leading by example, telling others when we are not feeling okay, not feeling that, oh, we are leaders, we are supposed to be always strong, but we also show our vulnerability by expressing our own feelings and our own moments of weakness will encourage others to be open and honest as well. So I think we have to stand as role models. As scouts, we are honest and trustworthy. So we need to lead as examples and help, not to exaggerate, but to find opportunities to express and accept that the health problems, mental health problems do exist, and to help them come out and create systems such as listening ears in the scout groups, who are like somebody that everybody can approach to be able to be the persons that individuals can go and talk to and express what they are going, and then later on it can be followed up. So that's what I wanted to say. But anyway, again, thank you, Grace, and thank you everybody behind this.
Thank you, Sirand. I appreciate your feedback and your comment. Totally appreciated. Last one, as we close down.
I see Tresha has her hand up.
Tresha, yes, go ahead. Unmute your microphone, Treasure. Treasure, we can't hear you. Treasure. All right, looks like Treasure has.
Yes. Okay, thank
yes,
you.
Treasure.
I think now you can hear me.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Treasure, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. It's so much an eye-opener, and we really need it during this COVID novel. My take is, my comment is on the I story, I statement. I so much love it and agree with it. My major issue is on the sympathy part. I feel we should empathize, because once we start sympathizing, we'll find ourselves crying with the next person. And also, I'm afraid if we end up, it's okay to reassure and give hope, but I'm afraid to say it shall be well, because who is carrying the problem is the same person who has the answer. The person who knows that one day it shall be okay is the person who has the problem. Mine, I think, is just to usher her or him to the right direction. Make him or her understand, give him the love, the hope, and the support so that she finds it herself that really there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's not the end of the world. But I love the I statements. Keep it up. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can see we have some questions on the side, but in the interest of time, Jonathan, Raul, and myself will create another platform where we are able to address these issues. I can see Major Michael has asked a question. I can see Francis Kerongo has also asked another question. And Lusala is asking for French interpretation. So in the next session, because this is just the beginning, we shall have all these concerns and questions addressed. But in the interest of time, I will take it back to Raul and Jonathan, who will address these concerns. Thank you so much, my participants and audience, for coming in and listening in. Let's keep the mental health conversation going. Jonathan?
Thank you so much, Grace, for the beautiful presentation. Merci beaucoup. Muito obrigado. And thank you to all the participants, I think, for making this a worthwhile discussion, for all the contributions coming through. This is not the end, as Grace has mentioned, but definitely I think from these discussions, from your inputs, it appears the need is very critical. We are seeing the need to carry out this discussion further. It is always interesting that for such sessions, we are still welcoming guests, participants joining as we are closing. That's an issue of calculating the time difference. Yeah, so I think from our end is to say thank you for creating time this Saturday. You could either be doing something else, either sleeping, but being the leaders you are and realizing how this topic is very critical, you came out to spare some 1 hour this weekend. My urge to you all is just to pick up some of the lessons from this session. Go back to your troop, go back to your scout group, go back to your national scout organizations, and really start this discussion on mental health. This should not end here, but really pick up this discussion. We want to see how fast and how far this can be integrated into the various NSO programs, so that at least we can talk about this. As my colleague Shirinath mentioned, this is regarded as a taboo, but let's break that taboo. Let's break that belief. Let's talk about mental health. I liked the slide on it's okay not to be okay. For those who may have missed, we had a different session last weekend, and this was just now talking about mental health and the Scout volunteers. You can get this. I think Raul will mention where you can get this recording. And one of the things that came up, one of the big questions that came up was, have we ever thought about scouting and how scouting could be a source of stress to you? Or does it just become the source of happiness to you? So these are also discussions we need to think about. Yeah, can scouting be a source of stress to you? That was a very interesting discussion. So I think let me now invite my colleague Raul to say his closing remarks, but also tell us where we can get these recordings for the past discussions. So Raul.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jonathan and Grace, for this session. As Jonathan was saying, I will... Okay. We will upload this presentation and the video into the WASM Services platform. Under youth program, you will see different areas, and one of those areas is called members health and well-being. And there you will be able to find this video and also the video from the previous session on mental health for adult leaders that was held the past weekend. The other one is already available, and I hope by Wednesday this one will be also available in the WOSM service platform.
So Raul, once more, where do they get it?
Yeah, they can get it in the WOSM service platform. You can enter typing in your browser services.scout.org, and there you can find under the youth program service the area members, health and well-being. There you will find, among other resources, the recordings of those 2 webinars.
Okay, so thank you so much. That will be all from our end. Thank you, our colleague Srinath, who is the regional director of the Eurasia region. Srinath, you are hiding from that introduction, but let me introduce you now formally to the team here. And thank you for joining us from, I want to believe, from the cold Eurasia now.
Thank you, Bana Jonathan. It was my pleasure. It was such a big learning for me. I think this is a golden resource, what you created last weekend and this weekend. We need to share more widely, and as all of us in these sessions, I can be the first ambassadors. I'm really grateful. In our culture in India, we would say, this is the beginning of creating good karma. So let all the other people who will benefit from this to get peace and happiness into their lives, all that good karma come to all of you. And thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Brother Francis, for your comments on the side. I was not able to reply. Let me admit the last person we are meeting as we say bye-bye, enjoy your weekend, and let's talk mental health.